So that means because the world is now digital and it's a global village, we've gone digital, everything we do is online. We also have to be very, very careful what we say, how we say it, so that the cybercrime, the cybercrime clause will not come after us. Those days in journalism, you look at the libel, the sedition, you look at which one again. But now there's something called cybercrime law. There's something called the way you talk, and then they have to check it. So please, we have to keep looking at what is happening, check what is trending. The laws are changing by the day, so that we don't get into trouble. God help us. Okay, so I'll also be talking tomatoes this evening, but my focus on tomatoes is rather on the scarcity of tomatoes in the market, the scarcity of pepper in the market, and what do we do? It's really a time of pressure for so many people. In fact, virtually everyone in Nigeria, except for those who have planted tomatoes in their farms, or maybe they have a tomatoes garden and then they have plenty of it to get. Maybe that's the only way. That's why we're being told this year, let's do plenty of planting, plenty of agriculture. As we eat, let's plant, because this thing is not smiling. So what are we talking about tomatoes? We're looking at the scarcity of tomatoes and how the prices have just so skyrocketed. The prices of tomatoes in the market are alarming. Deliberately, as I was coming to the office today, I decided to get to a particular food market to just check, okay, what's up? Let's see. And then I'm seeing just like 5 pieces of sizable tomatoes for 1,000 naira. But these ones were even red. They were very rouge, and you could enjoy the red, the redness of the color. But then you find other tomatoes mixed with green, mixed with all kinds of colors. They are all tomatoes that are the same, but they're not looking good. And you are seeing the one of the least you can get tomatoes, maybe small, tiny pieces like this, 500 naira. Then if they are just like maybe like 8 or let me say 8 tiny pieces. When I say tiny, they are as very roundish as the nuts of how will I put it now? Smaller than palm kernel nuts. The ones I saw for 1,000, that's about 7 pieces. But the big ones I saw were like 4, 5 for 1,000. A basket of tomatoes now is selling for 110,000. If you are lucky, you get for 105,000, 100,000. And then there's this small basket I know we used to buy when we get to the international market, that is Mile 12. Those days you can get that for like 15K, roughly 8K, 12K, 20K. I'm hearing today is 45,000 naira. So, alternative to tomato stew, alternative to tomato sauce. Those of us that love to eat tomatoes a great deal. Well, there are some people when they want to cook their stew or their sauce, they can do ratio pepper 70%, tomato 25%, onions 5%. There are some when they want to make their tomato stew, they do tomato 80%, they do pepper 20, no onions. Some would do tomatoes 70%. How are you coping? What alternatives have you put in place to help you with this wahala, this palaver? Yes, tomatoes palaver. It comes and goes, but this one now is really biting. And you're like, how do we do this? What are the alternatives? Okay, I'll begin with number 1. Alternative to tomato stew, tomato sauce. Say, Lydia, is there an alternative? Yes, there is an alternative. You can do garden egg stew or sauce. Some call this aubergine. That is aubergine. You have this big garden egg that are colored purple. Okay? You have the white garden eggs. You also have the green garden eggs. In the course of the week, I went to a food market and I wanted to check for the garden eggs. I was surprised they don't have 200 naira garden eggs anymore. I was just looking at the woman. I said, ma, I need garden eggs. She told me the least price you can find there is just 500. And believe me, I'm telling you, I went to the market myself. 500 naira garden eggs were not up to 8 pieces. And they were so tiny. I was just moping, as in, hey, what has inflation, hyperinflation, and which other name? What do we call it? What has this economic, I won't call it economic crisis or crunch, but let me just leave it at hyperinflation. What has it not affected? in our own Nigeria today when I saw the garden eggs. So, but it's still better than tomatoes. You're not having tomatoes at all. So what can you do? You can decide to make garden egg sauce or garden egg stew. Now, in place of tomatoes, you now use garden egg. I remember the way my mom taught me how to make garden egg sauce. With garden egg sauce, you can relish boiled yam. It can be so tasty. Or boiled potatoes, boiled cocoyam. The potatoes could be Irish or sweet potatoes. The yam is always boiled. If you decide to roast it, good and fine. If you decide to fry it, good and fine. If you decide to bake it, why not? You can also use it alongside your rice. Have you tried garden egg sauce with your pasta? Now you not say, hey Lydia, garden egg sauce. Which one is garden egg sauce? Garden egg sauce is very easy to prepare. Usually when we're boiling the yam, so I'll see how she will wash the garden egg and add it to the yam, to the boiling pot, while the yam is boiling. She'll just boil it slightly for like 2-3 minutes. After that, the next thing she does is now take the garden eggs out of the pot and then begin to pound. But for us today, we have our blender. So what you do is just and I ask her, okay, why are you boiling or parboiling the garden eggs? She now say, oh, it's just to soften it. It's just to make it a little bit softer than it should be. Just to make it a little softer than it should be. I'm like, okay, fine. So when she has done that, the next thing she will do now is now begin to pound. So for you can decide, or for me these days, all you just do, get the garden egg, cut them into tiny bits and blend them. Set them aside. Get your pepper. Fresh pepper is a big deal today. Hey, you can't even get 1,000 naira pepper. 1,000 naira pepper is just, you can count it. It's just like this. You're like, hey, what is this one? Where has Nigeria gone to? What's happening to a country that is so blessed with greatness that anywhere you drop any seed of pepper or tomatoes, it starts growing? You can't get 500 naira pepper. That's tiny. But still buy. What are you going to do now? You won't eat our money, so we have to buy. So when you get your 500 naira pepper, let's say for your garden egg of like 1,000, you get like 500 naira or 1,000 naira fresh pepper. You blend, keep aside. You blend your garden egg, keep it aside. Then you get some onions, big onions. You cut into tiny bits and you blend. You can decide to mash, or no, you can decide to slice, or decide to dice, or you decide to blend. Especially for the young children who don't like onions. I don't know if you have some in your house. You just find that if you give them anything that is onion related, they just single out the onions one by one and leave them there for you. But to make it easier, what I do is, okay, I just blend the onion into puree. So when they are eating, they can't even sight the onion, but the onion is in the food. So what you do, you slice, you dice, you blend your onion, set that aside. Then get fish, smoked fish. Titus smoked fish is always nice. Or panla fish, you can decide to do smoked fish. Smoked fish will always go very well. Your panla fish, your Titus fish, debone, then, shred them into tiny bits and then wash them properly, set them aside. Then you get your salt and seasoning to taste. Some would like to add iru, that is locust beans. If you can have it, why not? But if not, no wahala at all. All you now do is you get palm oil. This sauce is best with palm oil. We're telling the African food story and the Nigerian food story to a global audience. So palm oil will be the best. But if you can't lay your hands on palm oil, no wahala. Go ahead with vegetable oil, coconut oil, soya oil, any other one you can find. But for me, I will tell you to get the best result, opt for palm oil. Now you get your pot, set it on fire, get your 2 cooking spoons of palm oil, pour into the pot when the pot is dry. When you add the palm oil, don't allow it to get smoky. Once the palm oil begins to change a little color, get your onion, pour it in. Pour in the onion, stir properly, then add your garden eggs. Stir properly, add your peppers, your blended peppers, stir properly, add your fish. You can decide to do shrimp as well, fresh shrimps. I can imagine how this will be tasting now. I'm already salivating. So you get your fresh shrimp, wash and add, and then stir and cover and just simmer. Just simmer. The garden egg is already blended. If you have decided to blend it fresh like that, and if you decide also to kind of cook it a little over the boiling water it's already softened, so you don't need to cook it too much. Now the next thing you do, as you add your pepper, you add your fish and everything, you stir. If you can add your locust beans, fine. It's optional. Locust beans is optional. And then you stir, add your salt and seasoning to taste. If you can't lay your hands on shrimps, fresh shrimps, you can do the big one. That's the dry shrimps. Fine. Or you decide to use your crayfish. You blend your crayfish so that for the children that are eating, they won't sight it. Most children, when they sight crayfish, they abandon the food for you. But these are our African heritage that makes our delicacies, our delicacies turn out so well, healthy, homemade, immune boosting, because of all these things we add to the food. So when you add all this, you stir, just leave it simmer for like 2-3 minutes. The food is ready. You can serve this alongside your rice, boiled rice. You can serve it alongside your rice and beans. You can serve it alongside your boiled yam, okay, fried yam, or even roasted yam. You can serve alongside potatoes, boiled potatoes, fried potatoes, steamed potatoes, or baked potatoes. Like I said, the potatoes could be Irish potatoes or even sweet potatoes. Then you can also serve this alongside your cocoa yams. You know, we have two types of cocoa yams. We have the edible cocoa yam. This is proudly African, of course, proudly Nigerian. And many parts of West Africa, they also relish cocoa yams. Now, your cocoa yam can be the edible type or the other one that is not edible but is used for thickening the soup. So please, when you get to the market, the food market, and you say, I want cocoa yam, make sure the cocoa yam you are getting is the edible cocoa yam. If you buy the thickening, the thickener, and you boil it, hey, it will not be nice for food, though. It will just the draw. But the edible cocoa yam, when you cook it properly, it looks like yam. It tastes like yam, and so filling, so healthy, and so immune boosting. Okay, so you can serve alongside any of this, and then let's try it. Maybe with your pasta, and see the way it turns. With your macaroni, you see the way it turns. With any of your carbs, you can see the way it turns. I'm even told some people take it alongside swallow. Now that one I never try. Lydia has not tried it, so maybe when I try it and then I'll come and tell you what the result looks like. But for now, I don't take garden egg sauce with any swallow. But you know, all kinds of things. Have you not seen all kinds of things on social media now? You see someone making boiling jollof rice and then adding what's it called, milk. Evaporated milk on jollof rice. I'm like, Kilele, what's this one going to look like? How's it going to look? What kind of food is this one? Well, that's the world for you. Well, it's about the world of food. It's about the world of creativity. What you create, if it works for you, it becomes a recipe. It becomes a culinary delight. So all of us will just follow suit. Yeah, that's it. So let's see what else can we do. So I've solved problem number 1 now. And problem number 1 is, how do I cope without tomatoes? I've given you number 1, garden egg sauce. Then number 2, I have this carrot chicken sauce. Carrot chicken sauce is very simple to prepare. With carrot chicken sauce, you can take rice, you can take rice and beans, you can take any of the sparks, any of the carbs, whether potatoes, any of those that you always will serve alongside your tomato stew or sauce. So you can do carrot. Now, what do? You get your carrots. Carrots are still quite not too expensive now. Now, this sauce is different from carrot sauce. That's why I made it carrot chicken sauce. For carrot chicken sauce, you get your carrots, you dice your carrots or you slice your carrots, cut them into tiny bits, set them aside. You get your cabbage, you cut a small chunk, cut them into pieces. You can dice, you can slice, set them aside, okay? Then you get some potatoes, Irish potatoes. If you can't lay your hands on Irish potatoes, then you can go for sweet potatoes. You get your Irish potatoes, you just peel off the skin, cut into tiny bits. That is, you slice or you dice. Keep them aside. Then you just get your fresh peppers. Your fresh pepper, it could be fresh red bell pepper, green bell. What am I saying? One red bell pepper now is over 1.5. I know what I'm saying. One green pepper, green bell pepper is, you have between 500 to 700 to 1,000. Red bell pepper is selling between 1,000 and 1.5. The orange bell and the yellow bell pepper, those ones they are no-go areas. So, but we have to eat. So when you get these ones, just one each, cut them into tiny bits. You can slice them big or slice small or dice them. Of course, your onions, you get your onions. Then you get your chicken breast. If you can lay your hands on chicken breast. If you can't lay your hands on chicken breast, lay your hands on chicken laps. Then cut them into tiny bits. When you cut them into tiny bits, you say, okay, Lydia, if I can't lay my hands on chicken, you can lay your hands on gizzard. If you can lay your hands on gizzard, fine. Then get some flour. Say, I don't have flour. Then get corn flour. I don't have corn flour. Then get pap. Yes, ogi. Pap, yellow pap. Yellow pap or white pap can do this. So if you can't lay your hand on flour, on corn flour, you can lay your hand on pap. If you can't lay your hand on pap, yellow pap probably. But if you don't have yellow pap, you can do white pap. In fact, it's the healthiest because pap is the highest, has the highest form of fiber and the healthiest form of fiber amongst all the cereals that you can think about. That's why Nigeria, our meals are very, very healthy and immune boosting. So if you can lay your hands on pap, you can lay your hands on oats, okay, oatmeals or any of the oats, Quaker oats, whichever. So, but what you would do is, if you are using the oats, I'll counsel that you blend. What I'll do when I use oats, I'll get some oat, like 3, 4, 5 tablespoons of oats. I'll now add water and then blend into a lovely smooth puree. You can do that. Now, when you are preparing your carrot chicken sauce, all you need to do is just 1 or 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Once you add your vegetable oil, you add your onions, you now add your carrots, your cabbage, and all the veggies. You can do more than this, more than all these veggies if you can lay your hands on them. But if you can't, then 1, 2, 3, 4 veggies are fine. They are good. Now you add all the veggies, stir them, add your salt and seasoning to taste. Make sure that it's spicy. This should be spicy. Then you now add all your chicken. The chicken must have been parboiled. All right, you add them, mix everything together, and cook for like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. If you want to stay a bit longer, don't forget that these are vegetables. Vegetables are not meant to stay so long in the pot or stay so long on fire, or the heat is not meant to be too much. So for me, I would say 2 minutes is fine so that you can still eat the freshness of the vegetables. Now, when you have done all this, you now mix your oats, depending on what you have. If you have the oatmeal, good. You have blended into a smooth puree, just pour it in. It gets thickened immediately. If you can't lay your hands on oat, you can lay your hands on pap. Yes, I said yellow pap or white pap. Ogi, Benny, ogi, akamu, cocoa, simple. And then you mix everything together. If you can't lay your hands on that, you can lay your hand on corn flour or even the normal flour, good and fine. But when you mix, just mix at your own consistency. How thick you want it to be depends on you. Some like it, a little bit thicker than it should be. Some like it lighter. Once you stir everything together, get it ready. You now decide to add the likes of ginger, garlic, thyme, turmeric, and others, and then fine. Now it's ready. You just remove from the heat. And then you serve. To make this more healthy, to make it healthier, you can decide to get a handful of scent leaves, which we call efirin or nchuanwu. Just slice them into tiny bits and then sprinkle all over the pot, take away from the heat, and serve. Hey, you have eaten something healthy without tomatoes. And then number 3, you can do turmeric sauce. Now for this turmeric sauce, you repeat all these carrots, then you add plenty of turmeric. It makes it yellow. It comes out very yellowish, but also very healthy. So when you are eating, it's as if you are eating like we are eating with a fried rice sauce or something. So you can do this. Then you can also do curry sauce. With your curry sauce, you get everything together, all the veggies you want. Then decide the kind of animal or the kind of protein you want to add, whether it's meat or fish or chicken or turkey or goat meat, anyone. You must have parboiled and they are soft and tender. So the way you now prepare your carrots chicken sauce is just the same way you prepare. Make sure you have your vegetable oil, your onions, salt and seasoning to taste, all the spices and the herbs that you need in the kitchen. Mix everything together. As you mix everything together, you now add plenty of curry. Curry, that's the powdered curry. Add plenty. Make sure there's also thyme. When you add all this, add a little water, and then make sure also you can use any of this, like the pap, like the oats, like the corn flour or maybe the normal flour. Just mix them with water and then everything is set. It will be very thick if you want it to be so thick. But if not, you can just add more water and make it lighter. With this, you can eat anyone. You can eat rice, you can eat anything. Okay, so we're done with this. We have banga sauce, which the Southeasterners will always call ofako. You can do that one without stew. That one I need a sweet parcel. With that one, you can even take swallow, depending. If you move down south, that's our banga soup. You just add make sure you have your fish, your crayfish, your banga spices, and then you add everything together. If you want to learn more about this, you can go to the YouTube channel, Gourmet Guide 234 Kitchen, and you find some of the banga stew sauce that we've posted. Now for ofako, it's very simple. Do you know, when I went to Anambra and I stayed for some years, I now got to understand that you can even make your banga stew, your banga sauce, that is your ofako, without having a mortar. I learned it there. That when you just get your palm kernels or the palm nuts from the market, you bring them home, boil them until they are very soft and tender. Take them out of the heat. You just use the tips of your fingers like this. If you can see me, you just do like this. Just keep, pressing. Just keep doing this. You extract the milky part of the kernel, and then after a while you now add some warm water, mix. Now extract that one, then you discard the nuts. But for me, I grew up knowing that I have to pound, so I do plenty of pounding. That's why anytime I want to make banga soup or stew or ofako, I have to be prepared, because I need to get my mortar to do all that. But there are so many other ways. And of course today now we have the palm krill. For those who live in different parts of the world, away from Nigeria, far away from Africa, where you can easily get the palm nuts, they go to the African stores and get the palm cream. Palm cream, one can of palm cream, I don't know how much it will cost now in dollars or in pounds, depending on where you are in different parts of the world. So if you want to do this, you can get your palm cream. But if not, get your nuts, prepare them, and then you make your banga sauce. The only difference is that you are not adding tomatoes. When you have made everything, you add your meat, you now pour in your banga. You pour in your banga sauce first, and it begins to cook. It begins to cook until it thickens. All you need to do is add your salt, seasoning, pepper. You add your fish, if you have fish. If you have meat, if you have whatever you have, add everything. Taste for salt and seasoning. And then there's also what we call banga spice. If you can lay your hands on banga spice, why not? But for me, most times when I can't lay my hands on banga spice, I just get some pepper soup spice sprinkled all over the sauce, so that you have that African, Nigerian, sauce. We have this our taste. You get what I mean? You may not get it until you look at our pepper soup spice. When you check our pepper soup spice, you see that it's a mix of all kinds of spices put together to give us that unique blend, that African unique blend. So you can add a little, if you can lay your hands on banga spice, to prepare your banga stew or your banga sauce or your ofako. The way Anambra prepares it, Anambra State, it can be a bit different from the way Imo prepares it. Can be a bit different from the way Delta State prepares it. It can be a bit different from the way Bayelsa, Rivers, or people are eating banga stew and sauce everywhere now. Everywhere. It's almost like our unity soup now. So everywhere you go, you can do this. So you can do that, and then you now add your crayfish, and then the food is ready. You can serve with anything, with your yam, with your rice, with your cocoyam, with your potatoes, anything. Okay, the next one is egusi Ijebu. It serves a dual. The only thing is that when you are now preparing your egusi Ijebu, there's no tomatoes. Well, some people opt for tomato pastes to prepare egusi Ijebu. Egusi Ijebu, I love egusi Ijebu because it has this unique, stewy taste. With it, you can eat your rice, especially local rice. You can even use it for swallow. So if you can't go for tomato stew, tomato sauce, you can make egusi Ijebu. It will serve a dual purpose. It will serve for your swallow. It will also serve for other carbs in the house. And it's also very simple to prepare. You can go to gourmetguide234.com on WordPress to check up egusi Ijebu. Okay, next one is is, I've mentioned egusi Ijebu. So the next one is tomato paste. Some people use tomato paste. Thank you, Adasa, all the way from Port Harcourt. She sent her feedback when I asked the question, what else can you use? What are your alternatives? What are you doing? Creating alternatives for your tomato stew. And she sent a feedback and said, oh, I do garden egg sauce, or I use tomato paste. So for tomato paste, you cannot come and kill yourself. So what is available, you use. Yeah, we're told, oh, tomato paste. Yeah, there are so many. So, yeah, I know there are many stories about tomato paste. What we go do now with this situation now? Some people outrightly just use tomato paste, or some mix it with fresh tomatoes. So when you get to the market and you find that the prices are quite much, you can get some tomatoes, fresh tomatoes, bring them home, blend them coarsely, and then add some puree to them, tomato paste. For me, I will always opt for looking at the tomato paste that is not canned. I prefer the ones that are in sachets, big sachets. I don't want to mention any brand now, but I know that there are some brands in a couple of months or a couple of months ago that are right now in the market, and they come in big sachets. So you can get them, mix them with your fresh tomatoes, and make your tomato stew. It's not so bad, really. But if you can't afford fresh tomatoes, at all, you can do tomato paste too. You just get your tomato paste, and then you even have the pepper paste. There's pepper paste, there's tomato paste. Mix everything together. Add your oil, your onion, every other thing, and then prepare your stew and just eat. That's just it. Well, I want to take a very short break. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back very shortly. I've been talking for a while now. Let me take a break. This is Gourmet Guide. Gourmet Guide with Lydia is a food and nutrition show that talks about what we eat, what goes into our mouth, everything edible, whether it's food, agriculture. We look at sustainability. We look at everything that has to do with our culinary strength, the cuisine, our cookery. Okay? I'll take a short break. I'll be back very shortly. See you later.